Hi, my name's Eric Kirkpatrick, and what I want to talk to you about today is what not to do after you're injured at work. I've talked before, I believe, about what to do in terms of reporting your injury to your employer, filling out accident reports, things of that nature, but today I want to talk about something specific, and this is what not to do. So to start the conversation, what I want to tell you about is something that I came across recently with a client. The client was injured at work. He thought it was a pretty clear accident. He fell over something that was in the floor that shouldn't have been there. He was unable to drive himself to work. A co-employee took him to one of these occupational medicine places that instead of an emergency room, it's a place, they're popping up all over, that sees injured workers on behalf of employers, usually after an accident. They run them in, run them out. Sort of like an emergency room, but it's not. So what happened, unbeknownst to my client, was he went in, was seen by the doctor. They saw him, gave him some medicine, that sort of thing, and sent him on his way. In the meantime, what happened was this doctor, who he thought was somebody that was going to give him an unbiased look, this doctor then, along with preparing his medical report, just a regular medical note that I'll speak about in a second, this doctor at the place the company chose turned around and called the employer, the CEO of the company, to get the cell phone number for the safety man at the job site, because he took it upon himself, this doctor did, to want to tell the safety man that this client of mine's accident did not happen the way that my client said, because my client wasn't dirty. He didn't have dirt on his clothes, and he had said that he fell to the floor, the shop floor. First of all, there's a couple of problems with that. To my knowledge, my client didn't give that doctor the authorization to speak to anybody with his employer. Second thing is, that doctor had no reason at all to just on his own call the employer to try to report his thoughts about this man's case. So what happened was, it ruined my client's whole claim. We took it made an otherwise case that would have been fine. It made them dispute it. The safety man flew in from somewhere in Texas. They looked at this accident, all about a pallet on the floor, and did a whole investigation, denied his claim, all based on, it all arose from that doctor's telephone call. So when I say what not to do, let's take a look at this piece by piece. First of all, don't go to any of these places that your employer recommends. I don't care if it's right after the accident or what. Tell them you want to go to an emergency room. Don't trust that your employer's going to have your back or take care of you or do the right thing. I'm sorry to say that, but that's the way it is. And that's particularly true of people who are in unions. The companies, don't want to have a lost time accident, so they'll try to take the union employee to their doctor immediately. Their doctor prepares a report, and that sets the stage for the rest of the claim. So first thing to not do, and that is go where they want to take you. Tell them you would prefer an emergency room or some urgent care clinic that you know of. Now, of course, it's going to depend on the nature of your injury. Take that into account. Don't just feel like you have to go where they drive you to. It's number one. Number two, your employer / its insurance company has the right to get your medical records if you have a workers' compensation injury. But they can only get your medical records with your authorization. Now, what may or may not have happened here with this particular incident that I described, if they had my client sign an authorization, he probably didn't read it. He probably, just like all the rest of us when we go to the doctor, thought, oh, this is okay, I'll sign it. I haven't seen the authorization yet, but I seriously doubt it allowed that doctor to just out of the blue call my client's employer and talk to him behind his back. So be careful what you're signing. Do not sign any kind of medical authorization that says the employer or its representative gets to speak with your doctor. Do not give the doctor that authorization at all, because you don't know what that doctor might be doing behind your back. Now, with that said, we all want to trust our doctors. That's a very rare situation. I've been doing this for 32 years, handling workers' compensation cases, and I believe this is a very first for me. It's sort of an unusual situation, but it does happen. So to summarize what we talked about today, be careful who you go to. Know that you have the right under the Workers' Compensation Act to see the doctor that you want to see. I understand you can't just go to your primary care physician on a whim or at the spur of the moment or in an emergent situation. But you don't want to necessarily feel like you're having to be taken to a place that they choose. I think you would be better off with an emergency room instead of some place that might give you the indication that they work for employers. Number two, be careful what you're signing. You have to be careful what you're signing. And you do not, under any circumstance, ever do you want the employer or its insurance company or the adjuster or the employer's lawyer ultimately to be able to pick up the phone and talk to your doctor without you being right there present. So my name's Eric Kirkpatrick. If you have any questions, just give me a call at 618-239-6070. Thank you.